I keep hearing that Java is based on OOPS, but I still don't feel like I truly understand what object-oriented programming actually means. Can you explain it in a simple way?
Of course, OOPS, or object-oriented programming, is a way of designing programs around objects. And an object is something that contains both data, which we also call attributes, and behavior, which we call methods. So instead of thinking only in terms of separate variables and functions, we think in terms of real program entities that hold state and perform actions. For example, if we have a student object, it can have data like age, name, or roll number, and it can also have methods like setAge or getAge. That is the basic idea behind object-oriented programming, combining related data and behavior into one meaningful unit.
Okay, that part makes sense, but everyone keeps saying there are 4 main OOPS principles. What are they exactly?
The 4 main principles are encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, and abstraction. If you understand these 4 well, the whole idea of OOPS becomes much easier. First is encapsulation. Encapsulation means binding data and methods into a single unit, which is usually a class. Its main goal is to protect data from direct misuse. A very common example is keeping a variable private and allowing access to it only through public getter and setter methods. Imagine a student class with a private age field. Outside code cannot directly change that age however it wants. Instead, it must use setAge and getAge. This gives control over how data is accessed and modified. So, encapsulation is really about data hiding and safe access.
So encapsulation is like protection.
Exactly. It protects internal data and keeps the class in control of its own state. The second principle is inheritance. Inheritance means one class can acquire the properties and behaviors of another class. In Java, a child class can inherit from a parent class using extends, and classes can also follow interface-based inheritance using implements. Think about an animal class with a method called sound. Then imagine a dog class that extends animal. Because of inheritance, dog can use the sound method from animal, and it can also add its own method like bark. This helps us reuse code and build relationships between classes instead of writing everything again from scratch.
So inheritance mainly helps with reuse?
Reuse, yes, and also structure. It helps us model is-a relationships clearly. A dog is an animal, so dog inheriting from animal feels natural. The third principle is polymorphism. Polymorphism means one method name can behave differently depending on the situation. In simple words, same method name, different behavior. There are two common forms. The first is compile-time polymorphism, which happens through method overloading. For example, a class can have one addend A in B method and another addend A in B and C method. Same method name, but different parameters. The second is runtime polymorphism, which happens through method overriding. Suppose animal has a sound method, and dog provides its own version of sound. Then when we call sound on a dog object, the dog-specific behavior runs. That is polymorphism. The same method call can lead to different implementations depending on the object.
That one always confused me, but now it sounds much simpler. Same name, different behavior.
Yes, that is the easiest way to remember it. The fourth principle is abstraction. Abstraction means hiding complex implementation details and showing only the essential features. The goal is to simplify how the user interacts with the system. A good way to think about it is this. When you use a vehicle, you care that it moves, not about every low-level detail of how movement is implemented internally. In Java, abstraction is commonly achieved using abstract classes and interfaces. For example, an interface vehicle may declare a method move, and then a class like car provides the actual implementation. The user sees the important capability, not the full internal complexity.
So abstraction hides complexity and encapsulation protects data. They sound similar, but they are not the same.
Exactly. Encapsulation is about wrapping data and methods together and controlling access. Abstraction is about showing only what is necessary and hiding unnecessary internal details. So if I summarize everything, OOPS is a programming style based on objects. and objects contain data plus methods. Encapsulation protects data, inheritance reuses and extends behavior, polymorphism lets the same method name behave in different ways, and abstraction hides complexity behind a simpler interface. Once you understand these 4 pillars, Java starts feeling much more organized because classes and objects stop looking random and start looking like a proper design system.
That cleared up a lot. The examples made it much easier to follow. Thank you. Seriously.